Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Altitude Sickness Podcast. I'm Tony, and today I'm being joined by my friend Drew. How's it going?
It's great. This is the last pod until probably October that there is no Rockies baseball actively being played.
Yeah, it's kind
I'm
of
excited.
insane. It's insane because I remember again starting this podcast and being like, well, we got to make it, like 2 months, like almost 2 months, um, of just not having like active baseball being played, and so now we're there to where we're gonna have active baseball. So that'll be nice to at least get more things talking about rather than just who do we want to sign here or oh this person signed here type of thing. So that'll be exciting. Um, I'm just excited for honestly like just spring in general. I've got back, as I've told you, I've got back into getting golfing, like trying to get back my golf swing and all that, which I'm excited for this year. But what's nice is that usually when golf season's here, that also means baseball season's here. So they kind of go hand in hand. So
Sometimes we do listen/watch Rockies games while we're
yeah,
golfing.
while we're golfing. So and that'll probably happen again this year, at least a few times. So that'll be exciting. Um, but yeah, so since it's last show before spring training, that'll be a topic for today. Is we're going to talk a little bit about spring training, but and like I said, there's two more moves that the Rockies actually made, which I didn't. I was expecting them to make at least one more, like at the end of last week. I didn't really know what it was going to be, whether it was going to be the first base option that we've kind of like heard the front office kind of make like mumblings about, or if it was going to be another rotation arm. And they ended up getting two, which I was not expecting. Of course, it happens on Tuesday, the day after we record the podcast, because that's how I feel like it's always happened. It's been like right after we record, something happens. And so the two guys they signed, so they signed Tomoyuki Sagano, who was on the Orioles last year, and then Jose Quintana, who was on the Brewers last year, I believe. And both are pretty like low value deals in terms of money. Sagano's was like 5.1 million, and I think Jose Quintana's was like 6.3, something like that. Like it was not a lot. It was nothing crazy. And so, like, I mean, what's been nice is that from I think all around like Rockies sphere people, I haven't seen any negatives on these signings. Like usually there's a doomer crowd. There always will be about whatever the Rockies do, but I haven't really seen that. I've just seen nothing but like at minimum it's a oh well these guys just are gonna eat innings for us because they're gonna need to, which if that's all they got to do, that's totally fine with me because that's what we needed last year was we didn't have that. So, but yeah, I'm very happy with both of these moves.
Yeah, very I expect them, like you said, to sign one, but two. Um, the Sagano didn't really surprise me, but Jose Quintana did surprise me
Yeah.
because he's been good and he's been good for a long time at this point. Like his worst season was probably 2021 with a 6.43 ERA, but then again, look at our starting rotation
That
last
would
year.
have been a mid rotation arm last year.
And
So
he's been in the league since 2012, so
no,
like
yeah,
he's been around for a long time.
he's an old guy. This will be his 14th
He,
season. It's kind of insane.
but it seems like he's very consistent when he stays healthy. He is very very consistent, which is what the Rockies rotation lacks
Yes.
for the most part. And so, I mean, he has almost 32 career WAR. So, I mean, how many pitchers that have pitched for the Rockies have that? Probably not
Not a
many
lot, no.
in recent memory, at
No.
least. Um, so we have a guy with experience, and he's also had a sub 4 ERA since that 2021 season.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge signing for us. Sagano's great. He gives up a lot of home runs, but it seems like they're really he's going to be splitter heavy, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the big thing with this home run thing was that so many of them were solo home runs. I think that was what if you look at the distribution of how many he gave up, there were so many solo home runs. And again, he was playing against a lot of the time the AL East because he was for Baltimore, who he had to deal with the Blue Jays probably 3 times last year, the Yankees probably 3 to 4, and the Red Sox 3 to 4. Now, granted, he's gonna have to play, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and all them, but like I don't know, like I don't really see a negative where this is gonna like unless he's just absolutely terrible, which I just don't think with especially the new pitching coach staff. I know I keep harping on it so much. I feel like I bring it up like 4 times an episode, but like it's just the truth. Like it is completely different. It's a completely different vibe that like they bring this new staff is bringing to where they're actually asking questions like, "Hey, what do you think is going to work? This is what we think is going to work, and let's work on it." And I think that that's what they've done with all the new pitchers that they've signed. And again, with Sagano, and it's the same thing I think I talked about. It was the same thing with Michael Lorenzen when we signed him. Was they have big arsenals. They have a lot of pitches, and that's what they were looking for. Quintana doesn't have the biggest arsenal, but again, I think he was full on like he's a veteran presence that the Rockies need someone stable like that in their rotation. And Sagano has a lot of pitches that he's going to be able to throw. And so, yeah, I'm pretty high on both these signings. I think they're both pretty good.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the front office was really strategic with this because with younger guys, like let's say Dollander, for example, when you start to ask questions and point things out, they don't. Dollander just doesn't have enough experience to like properly answer those questions and how it feels, just because he's only been in the league for a year.
yeah.
But these guys, they know their pitches, they know them well,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think the front office can learn more from these guys, and that's kind of what Michael Lorenzen also said is trying to figure out how to pitch in Coors, and that in the front office is doing a really good job so far at putting the pieces together to maybe figure that out.
Yeah.
And Sagano's only had one year in the major leagues,
Yeah.
um, but I think he's going to do better than probably whoever is left off the rotation. Um, and kind of um, what I said with Condon earlier and a few episodes ago. These guys are guys that are going to be able to help Dollander develop because it's actual veteran leadership. And I'm sure Kyle Freeland's great, but like we've been saying for years now, getting guys that have lived outside of the Rockies bubble is really important, especially for a guy like Michael Lorenzen, who the Royals had one of the best rotations in baseball last year, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm happy with both, and I'm excited, and I hope that the rotation is not the worst part of the team this year.
I Here's the thing. We're gonna go on this. Like
Might still be.
on paper, I don't think it is. I think honestly, I think our offense is still gonna probably be overall worse, but we'll just have to see. And with these two signings, there had to be two moves to counteract it because we had a full, I think a full 40-man roster. So they put two players on the 60-day IL. Jeff Criswell, which that was expected. He's been recovering from Tommy John since like last April, and so he's probably going to I think he can come back in like May around that time. So, and I'm excited because like he's got some good stuff. Like I actually think Jeff Criswell can be pretty good. And then the other move was, I think Matthew mentioned it last week, the death taxes and Chris Bryant goes on the IL. Um, it was the most obvious move. It was gonna happen. It didn't really matter. They put him on the Rockies. I'm pretty sure just put him on the graphic for spring training. Who's going there just as a formality, just to say that he's there. But I don't know. It truly just he feels like a ghost. Like it's so something needs to be done. I don't know what. I don't know how they can work stuff out, but they need to work something out because it's not working. And I do not think he's ever going to play a baseball game again. At least not for the Rockies, but I do not think ever again.
No, I think we would have heard from player interviews at some point that Chris Bryant, if he was super involved in the dugout and like helping guys out and being, I mean, he was a great player at one point.
Yeah.
in which at that point I was honestly not even interested in the MLB, so I've never seen that. So that may be why I'm a little harder on Chris Bryant than most.
Yeah.
But it's not like like the young guys are coming out here saying like, oh, he's helping so much, like just being a veteran leader in the dugout. So at this point, like, what value is he bringing to the team?
Yeah.
Even outside of playing, like if he's not helping people develop, then just as I've said all year, cut him.
Yeah.
You're going to eat the money eventually. At this point, it's just,
at least save a roster spot.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to beat that dead horse more.
Yeah, I think this is what 7 episodes in, and I think we have talked about him at least once an episode, probably at some point. So, but yeah, that's just the new moves. So the rotation now, according to Fangraphs, it looks like this. So Freeland's still number 1, Michael Lorenzen 2, Jose Quintana 3. They have Chase Dollander at 4 and then Sugano at 5. Now, I genuinely think there is a legitimate chance that Dollander does not start for the Rockies this year. I think there is a chance he starts in AAA because I do think he was rushed up last year. He clearly was not ready to pitch in the major leagues. He also got no help once he got there. So I think that there's a chance that with this new, what they want to do is undo some of the stuff he may have gone through last year and just full reset him in the minor leagues and then go from there. Now, I don't know if that's for sure going to happen, but I mean, what's crazy is at this point, there's where Dollander is. That spot is up for grabs for Dollander, Ryan Feltner, Tanner Gordon, and I guess McCade Brown you could throw in there. You could even throw in Carson Palmquist. It's all those guys. They are battling out for that 5th spot. Now, obviously, I think Dollander and Feltner have the best chance of getting it, but I think that's good because it really is. It's breeding competition like crazy. Like in past years, there were 3 rotation spots that were up for grabs. Now it's 1. Like that hopefully can make them all play better and will truly have the best product up at the major league level, as opposed to just having to throw someone out there every 5 days.
Last year I would have been upset if Dollander wasn't in the rotation, but now with all the competition this year, I'm not really like I'm not upset at all if they start him out in AAA just because we saw how last year went.
I think he will.
Pitching,
I think if he were to start in AAA, I do not think he would end the season there. I think he would still make his way up to the major leagues. It's just starting the year, I could very much see him being in AAA.
Yeah. And baseball and pitching especially is a confidence game and a mental battle.
Yeah.
And so when you're getting shelled every start, that's not great for your development.
No.
Especially with the old coaching staff that probably did nothing.
Yeah, it did not help. Honest. Yeah, I would agree. From
the feedback that we've gotten so far from all of the new signings and Dollander himself.
Yeah, they're
saying it's completely different.
It's completely different. That just makes me excited. Like, I understand that this team is gonna suck again. I understand that they're not gonna be good. We're talking about the win betting line later this episode. I understand that the bar is not high, but that, like, I am way more excited going into this year than I was last year. Last year, it was pretty much we're rolling it out with pretty much the same roster. How much worse can it get? And obviously, it got much worse. But I think this year there's actual, like, there's hope with this team, with this new staff and everything, that it makes it a lot more exciting to be excited for this roster and this team.
Yep.
So, but yeah, like I said, spring training, it's starting this week. It starts Friday, February 20th. So at 2:10, they play the Diamondbacks because that's what they always do. They always play the Diamondbacks first because the Rockies and Diamondbacks share a spring training facility at what's it called? Talking Stick, I think is what it's called. Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, which it is amazing. I've been there. I've never actually seen a spring training game there, but I've been there before, and it is insane, dude. It is so nice. Like, and I know that people talk about, like, I think I've heard that it is probably the best spring training facility in of all the teams, especially at least in Arizona. But I think that goes for both leagues as well. So I'm so excited to watch it. It's going to be so much fun. That game's actually televised, unlike a majority of the other ones. But um,
I'm glad that the first game of spring training is televised.
yeah,
We went over the schedule last week, so I'm not going to go over it again. But I have my work calendar blocked off from 2 to 5.
that's funny.
So I will be sitting with the Rockies game on one of my screens, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So again, I'm excited that the first game is at least televised, so I don't have to listen to KOA as much as I would love to. I prefer to watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, very glad, very glad.
Yep. I believe what they usually do is the first and last games of spring training they usually televise. So I think that's how it is. Yeah. So at least one of the last games they'll televise. So, but that'll be fun. I'm excited. I'm so excited for baseball. Um. But so in terms of spring training, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna just talk about a few things that we want to see. So since Matthew's not here, he sent us what he wants to see, so we could just go over his first really quickly. He's just got two things here. So this kind of just goes for the full season, but it kind of also applies for spring training. So he put for his first one, he says, "I'm looking forward to having Warren Schaefer for a full season. I like that he said that he will be more willing to shift players around throughout games as he sees fit. He says, I feel that's an interesting point of view and excited to see what it entails for the season." So he's excited to see how Warren Schaefer will manipulate the roster and go about that, especially I think with the new guys that we've gotten. There's going to be a lot of like defensive subs late in games, pinch hitting stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of that because I know that Warren Schaefer looks up to AJ Hinch, who is the Tigers manager, who does a lot of that. Like that's his thing, is that he will switch around the roster like so much. And so I'm excited because I think you got to shift stuff up, you got to change things up once in a while rather than running the same thing out there and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I've been a Warren guy since Bud Black was.
Yeah, I think having him for a full season will be a lot more fun, and
we talked about it. For where the Rockies are at right now in terms of development and like becoming a good team.
Yeah.
No shade to Bud Black, but he may not be alive by the time the Rockies make a playoff push. And so having a guy like Warren Schaefer, who's young on the younger side, and he's a lot more coachable in his ways, unlike I think Bud was kind of stuck in the way he's always been a manager.
Yeah.
And that's just not what the Rockies needed. So
yeah,
very, very excited for this season.
And then for Matthew's second one, he says, "I'm excited to see our new pitchers, specifically Sagano and Lorenzen. It's really exciting hearing pitchers talk highly of pitching in Colorado. I'm hoping this leads to positive things." So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Like, it's just exciting that these pitchers are coming to Colorado. Someone specifically like Lorenzen, who is saying, "I want the challenge of pitching at Coors Field. I want to take on this challenge and solve it." Which, like, that just... no one has ever said that coming from outside of the organization. Like, people on the inside always want to say that, but they're not exactly given that. They were never given the tools to do so. So now we have pitchers from the outside saying they want to, and now we have more tools. I think it's something to be really excited about. I think for sure.
It's just a reflection on the new. This is what I was calling it. I'm going to continue to the new regime that's coming in.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we wanted them to do, was to be like, because they will get all-time great status if they figure out how to win in Coors.
Mm-hmm.
Being on the front office and turning this team around means so much more than doing it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that everyone that was hired was clearly ready for the challenge, because I don't think they would have gotten hired unless they bring the mentality of, we're going to figure out how to win here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like Paul DePodesta will get a statue erected of himself if he figures out how to win. If he turns this team around, I mean, it would be insane. So
Yeah. And we've just gotten a little sprinkle of what he's got in
Yeah.
this offseason. And this has been easily the best offseason and most active that since I've been a fan, which hasn't been very long.
no, yeah,
But
like
I'm sure it's been the same for you for quite some time.
I think the I guess the 2022 off or the 2021 to 22 off season was the last somewhat busy off season, and that was just because they signed, I think, Herman to an extension, they signed Senzatella to an extension, they signed McMahon to an extension, and then they signed Chris Bryant.
Interesting.
So
None of those guys.
how awesome was that? How great of
None of those guys play for the Rock because I'm not. Chris Bryant's never going to play again. We know that. So
Yeah.
none of those guys are still on the Rockies. But anyway,
So do you want to go next? You want to just talk about yours?
yeah. So the number one thing that I'm looking at during spring training is none other than Charlie Condon.
No.
Front office has yet to sign a first baseman, which I think at this point, I know Rhys Hoskins' name is still out there. And I've seen a lot of things saying he's a really good fit for Coors specifically. But we talked about before, the price tag's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
May go down at this point just because no one signed him. But they're clearly sending a message that Charlie, this is going to be his year. Because I feel like if they didn't think he was going to be ready at some point, I feel like they would have signed someone. Because they had a lot of opportunities to.
Yeah.
Because there were guys that the Rockies could have gotten that signed minor league deals elsewhere. So, Charlie, I'm just looking for him, honestly, to just look like he belongs in spring training.
Yeah.
Least. He doesn't need to be phenomenal, but just seeing him put the bat on the ball and being somewhat consistent will be really important. And it'll show what his timeline looks like for this season.
Yeah.
If he is going to be ready, if he's not going to be ready, or maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's not, oh no, he's absolutely not ready.
Yeah.
But it is spring training. We have to take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
But for the young players, it is really telling just based on strikeouts, whiffs, that kind of thing, just to see if they even are in the category of becoming an MLB.
Mm-hmm. I also want him to stay healthy because last year he broke his wrist like the first day of spring training. And so that's a big thing. We just need a healthy spring training, a healthy full season of Charlie Condon. That is what Rockies fans need more than anything right now. So
yeah, and that was something I didn't mention. I forgot to mention in the rotation because that's plagued the Rockies for so long.
Yeah,
is like if we have these 5 guys out there all year, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
but a position that we're in now that we were not in before is that if guys get hurt, we still have Feltner. We still have
we have some depth. We have some.
Yes. We don't just have to pull. We don't have to take some guy up from
Double A
or Triple
like
A.
McCade Brown, which like
correct.
I feel so bad for him because like of course he didn't succeed. Like he was pitching in Double A and was doing like decent, and then got thrown at Coors Field. Like what do you expect to happen? So
yeah, that was malpractice by the Rockies.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
But I don't want to go too far back. So
I
just wanted to make that point.
Mm-hmm.
But Charlie's the number 2 prospect in farm system.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 22, so he's getting to that age where if we want him to be a young player in our system and want him to be long-term, I think this is the year that it needs to be done, especially with the new front office. Starting this year, it would be great if he came along with it so they're able to look at him a lot closer than if he was just in Double A and Triple A this year.
Yeah. He's 22. Jesus. Oh, his birthday's April 14th. So he's going to turn 23 like right at the beginning of the season. But still, like that dude's almost 2 years younger than me, bro. Jesus, I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to think about that yet. So my second thing is I'm going to combine two players in this because I think they're both equally as important.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Halverson and Chase Dollander finding the strike zone.
Yeah.
We saw in 2024 with Seth Halverson that his little stint he had, I think that was at the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Where was it? He only pitched 12 innings, but he couldn't miss the strike zone. And we saw last year pre-injury, he just could not find it.
Yeah.
He just couldn't. And as you say all the time, Tony, it doesn't matter how hard you throw a ball for.
Yes.
Seth Halverson brings the heat, and we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can't find the strike zone, it doesn't matter. No one's going to swing at it anyway. And I think that's the same argument and same issue with Chase last year, is that it would either be a fastball down the middle, and his fastball does not have a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Fastball down the middle, or it was out of the zone. And so hitters could be a lot more confident and a lot more patient, and that's why I think we saw him get shelled so often. Because batters knew that he was probably going to throw a ball, and if he didn't, it was going to be near the middle of the zone. And so command, control is the name of the game for these two this season. And yeah, I don't think I need to talk about it anymore. It's pretty simple. But
Yeah.
I think both of them, if they can find their command, that they're going to be X factors this year for the Rockies.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I agree with everything. So, and I guess last but not least for me, so my two, so I did the same thing as where I combined two guys. Essentially, it's just first base as a position, honestly, is kind of what I'm going with. But I have Troy Johnston and Blaine Crim. So, like we said earlier, right now the Rockies they didn't sign anyone, and so they're kind of rolling it out with this a positional battle between like 4 dudes to get this spot. And it's between Troy Johnson, Blaine Crim. You could throw Charlie Condon in there, though he's probably not as likely to get it. He's kind of got an outside looking in type of thing. I think Edward, the new guy we traded for, Edward Julian, also can play some first, so he might have a chance to get there if Tyler Freeman's going to be playing second, possibly. And so all I want to see is just that both these dudes need to just improve a little bit on hitting the fastball. So they're kind of opposite players in a way, because Blaine Crim hits the ball harder, and he can hit it like he hits the ball harder, has a lot more power than Troy Johnson, but he has a lot more swing and miss. Whereas Troy Johnston whiffs less, but doesn't show as much power. But they both, I don't know for sure exactly how bad, or if Blaine Crim was that bad against fastballs, but I know that Troy Johnston was. He was pretty rough against the fastball. I'm checking really fast. So Blaine Crim was actually pretty good against the fastball. He was not good against, looks like off speeds. So like the changeup and sinker. So changeup he was not very good at, actually. So changeup bad. So pretty, at least with Troy Johnston, I want to see him hit the fastball more. That seems to be a trend that a lot of the Rockies prospects had. Granted, Troy Johnston was not a Rockies prospect. We claimed off waivers earlier in the offseason. And so hopefully they can figure something out to where he can get on top of the fastball a little bit more. And I like how he's a lefty. I like having a lefty first baseman. There's something about that just feels really nice. But again, having him and Blaine Crim having that lefty-righty tandem for when it's a lefty-righty pitching or whatever, like, I don't mind that. I just think together, if they can form a solid player in a platoon sense, that's what we need, because we have not had a good first baseman since CJ Crone in like 2023, like half of 2023. And I mean, I guess, yeah, 2024, Michael Toglia had it obviously last year. It wasn't there. And so I'm hoping that we can finally figure out a way to fill that void at first base that the Rockies have not been able to do since Todd Helton retired. Like, there's been a void at first ever since he retired, and it's plagued this franchise for so long, and I just want them to figure it out. And so whether that be Condon, or Troy Johnson, Blaine Crim, figure it out. That's just what I want to see. And then the second one, which this was kind of all up in the news for a little bit for the Rockies, was Zach Veen. And so if you haven't heard, which I know you have, Drew, but so an article by Thomas Harding, who's a Rockies beat reporter, came out on February 12th. So what was that? That was a few days ago. When was that? Would have been last Thursday. It came out that Zach Veen was struggling last year, and actually for the past few years, but last year was struggling mightily with a marijuana addiction and a drinking, like an alcohol addiction. He said that he was skipping meals and just smoking or drinking instead. And so going through all of that, and you could kind of see how like negatively it impacted him, because that dude was a twig. Like it was kind of crazy seeing him in like a big league uniform because it was so baggy on him. Because he's like 6'3", so he's a pretty tall guy, but he was so thin. I think he showed up to camp last year weighing 194, and he ended the year at 202, so at 202 pounds. So he was super thin. And in this offseason, a few days ago when he showed up to spring training, where is it? I'm trying to find it. I'm on the article right now. I'm just looking at it. He showed up weighing like 245. Like he gained like 43 pounds in the offseason. And he says that he just sobered up and he just started eating better. He started just training hard. And so I'm just looking for a bounce back. Like I'm rooting for this dude because like I didn't know that was going on. Obviously, I don't think anybody did. But I'm just rooting for a massive bounce back for this guy because like for a while, I mean, this was the dude that was supposed to be like the franchise savior for a while because we drafted him in 2020? I think the Rockies drafted him. And so since then, he was like a highly touted prospect. He had a lot of raw power. He was athletic. He was fast, and he played with his hair on fire. And so that was what like everyone wanted to see this dude become good. And injuries derailed a lot of his minor league time. And apparently last year, so if you remember, he played really, really well in spring training. But he didn't make the opening day roster. And there was news that broke. The reason why he didn't make the opening day roster was because of his attitude. It wasn't because of his play. It was because of off the field stuff. And I remember like me thinking, and I'm like, at least for me, I was like, oh, this is Bud Black doing the whole, oh, he's not ready for big league baseball. He needs to like chill out with stuff. Well, I think he had a lot more, he was more grounded in what he was talking about than I guess we were led to believe because we didn't know that any of this stuff was going on because apparently Zach Veen was like not a good teammate. He was like there were a lot of problems that he was causing off the field. And so
yeah, we just thought, I remember us talking about this last year. We were just thinking like he was just missing signs and just being an idiot. Like nothing that bad was going on. He just didn't care as it seemed. And so we were just like, oh yeah, I think he's just missing signs and just doesn't really seem to care. But now a year later, it was clearly much deeper than that.
Yeah. And so I think just with all that now coming out and stuff and him coming back, and once he came back at the end of last year in the minor leagues, he played pretty decently because he went down to the minor leagues after being sent down, and he didn't play very well. And then he was sent down to the Arizona Complex League to figure stuff out, and he went back to and he got like coaching help and everything to like get through this stuff. And so I'm just hoping that he can take what he's learned, continue to like stay healthy, stay sober, everything that he needs to do. And I'm just hoping that he can, find a second wind in what he needs to get done. Because there's still clearly a lot of potential, and now he is like jacked. He is. I think. Have you seen like video and pictures of
Yep.
him?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
he looks completely different. He looks nothing like how he did. It's kind of insane.
He's gonna get tested by the end.
Yes, absolutely.
And the fact that has not come out yet,
That he has, but
that
yeah.
he has, I'm surprised. But I would give it like probably the first 2 games of spring training, and then he's getting tested.
Yeah, I would.
Because that is just unreal.
Yeah.
He looks like Aaron Judge. I hate to say it, but if you shrink Aaron Judge down,
Yeah.
like,
If
the height, if
Yeah.
you shrink him down, he looks as bulky.
he is a
as Aaron Judge does.
he is a bulky dude. He is a bulky guy, which is insane to think about how just 7 months ago he was like that scrawny, like thin outfielder, which is just insane. And so I'm just hoping with this, hopefully with this new like look and everything, he can figure out a little more, get back to that power that he has, because he has a lot of power. He's just got to get bat to ball skill a little bit more, maybe simplify his swing a little bit, and go from there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Zach Veen this spring for sure.
And something else to note with this is that the Rockies haven't gotten any sort of positive press since I don't know when. And this is actually getting national attention, which is something that's very rare for the Rockies, and it's actually something good.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... The only other national attention I've seen this year is Chris Bryant going back on the IL.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, of course.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's good to see the Rockies also getting some positive press from this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always nice to actually get... It's always nice for when a national headline is not just Rockies embarrassed again or something like that, because that's all we saw last year. Or it was them breaking another record that hasn't been done since the 1891 Cleveland Spiders or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's nice to actually have a positive headline for once. And so, but yeah, that's what I would say I'm looking forward to the most. I'm excited just for everything, but yeah. And obviously, I mean, I didn't put him in here, but Jordan Beck, like I said, he's my favorite player. I'm looking forward to Jordan Beck. I'm looking forward to watch everybody, if I'm being honest, but I want to see Jordan Beck take another step forward. And so, but we'll just have to see. But that's what I'm excited for. That's what I'm looking forward to, for sure.
Then we get to talk about my favorite topic.
The win
betting.
Totals. Yeah.
So, the win totals came out, I want to say, probably a month ago at this point.
I was going to say they've been out for a little bit.
Hold on. Let me see when I placed it. I placed it on January 17th, and I think it had been out for a week. So yeah, over a month. It opened up on FanDuel. It was 51.5 wins, and on DraftKings it was 54.5. And so that was a month ago. With all the free agent signings, I assume.
Yeah.
The lines have moved, and as of today, FanDuel is now at 54.5, and DraftKings is now at 53.5.
Mm.
So I am 1-1 all time on Rockies win totals. Last year was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I got my friend who doesn't even like baseball to bet a future on the Rockies win total last year that was at, I believe, you got it at 59.5.
Yeah.
I got it at 60.5. Not like it ever mattered anyway.
Was it even close?
But what we were thinking was the Rockies got I think 62 wins the previous year.
Was it 62 or was it 60? I don't remember.
They still lost 100 games.
Yeah.
So it was between 60 and 62. And we were like, well, this team hasn't changed at all, as you mentioned earlier.
They were 61. They were 61 and 101.
61.
Because our betting line was 60.5. That's what we got it
at. Yep. And they beat the Dodgers with like 3 games left in the season, I think.
It was the Cardinals.
Of course, they lost.
We won our last game against the Cardinals, and then we won the first. It was like the second to last series. We won the first game of that series, and then lost the last 5 games of the season, or something like that.
I remember we were watching that game together. It was great. It was
Yeah,
glorious.
it was a good day.
Um,
The road to
and that was
61.
the first legal year that we were able to sports bet. So it
Yeah,
was extra fun. So anyway, last year was a disaster. This year, I think this line is an easy lock on the over. Mega stamp of approval over.
which one? The
Because
51 or the 53 or 54?
any of it. 50 we can go with 54. I think 54 is an easy lock because let's last year, let's just take that out of the picture. Let's look at the year before and let's compare rosters. And I honestly like this roster better. And so yes, the Rockies had an abysmal year, but outside of the roster, everything that possibly went wrong for the Rockies, besides Mickey Moniak in the second half of the year and Hunter Goodman, everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Rockies.
Yeah.
And so I think the books are given a little bit of like it's still a big swing for betting lines. Like it's an 11 game increase almost. Something like that. It's a double digit increase in wins. And that doesn't happen to just anyone and everyone, right?
Yeah.
So I think 54 and a half lock. And I don't want to even talk about it until April is over because April is going to be a disaster, and I just don't want to even talk about it yet.
Yeah. No,
But
we'll save that for later.
Yeah. I do think 54 and a half, hitting the over on that is a mega lock of the century, because the Rockies, the starting pitching isn't going to just give up games in the third inning at this point.
Yeah.
At least as much as they did last year.
Yes.
So I'll stop my rant, but easy lock.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with everything. I know we said this last year. There's no way it can be as bad. I do not think it can be as bad. Now, and again, so we're being clear, 54 wins is pathetic. That is terrible. If you are if you are 54, if you have 54 loss or wins, how many losses is that?
You still lose 100 games.
Yeah, you're still losing 100 games. You're still 108. You're 54 and 108. Like, that's still gonna probably be the worst record in the league. Like, we are still probably gonna be the worst team in the league. And yet that is still somehow a 13 game increase. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at for this season is it's all about the wins in player development, stuff like that. That's the stuff that we're looking for. We're not looking for like yes, and I think with player development, with all those wins, the actual wins in the record book that will come. Like you said, I do not foresee the starting rotation blowing games. Of the 6 games that we have to play in a week, I'm not expecting every game to be, of those 6 games, 5 of them being over in the third inning. I'm not expecting that this year. That's just not going to happen. I do not think. So
I think that's an important piece too, is that we talked a lot, like baseball's a confidence game and it's a mental game. As an offense, when you're starting pitcher, it's the third inning and you're down 7-1, there's not a lot of people that can really find it within themselves to be like, okay, we can actually win this game.
yeah.
And so that changes the entire approach of an at-bat for every single one of the players. And so that little tweak that is, let's say it's 2-0 or 3-1 or 3-0 going into the 6th inning, that's a huge swing from being down 9-1 or 9 to even 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it affects more places than just the starting pitching itself. But I think those things alone are going to lead to more wins.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's pretty accurate with how things are probably going to hopefully going to play out throughout the season.
I guess there's something we haven't brought up today that we need to. German Stinky Marquez is now a Padre.
Yeah.
I hope that he stays the same.
Yeah.
Now, what I foresee happening is Marquez becomes his old self again, only when playing the Rockies.
Yeah, I mean that's
And I can really see that happening. But even if he could just be himself from last year, then I think the Rockies are going to get back on track with beating the Padres. Because I think the Padres are going to specifically place him on pitching on days that they're playing the Rockies.
yeah.
Just because he's probably in the back of their rotation and they're playing the Rockies, so it's like, okay, let's not throw out our aces all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but good riddance for me because I was never around when he was good. So yeah, I hope the Rockies shell him this year, and I hope he does not progress at all and he stays the exact same as last year because that means more wins for the Rockies and less wins for the Padres.
That is fair.
And rant over.
Yep, I agree. We are an anti-Padres podcast. I do not like them. We're also anti-Dodgers, in all fairness. So we're anti every team, everyone except the Rockies, pretty much. So anyone that could beat the Rockies, which is everyone on the planet Earth. So, but other than that, that's all I've got. We went over everything that we needed to, I think. And again, like spring training starting this week, so we're gonna have hopefully more interesting things to talk about, like active things going on, and we'll be able to see how players are doing, how they're progressing, and stuff like that. Also, I guess we didn't mention this at all, but World Baseball Classic again, like that's coming up. I know Sagano, I think today, as of the recording of this video, I think he's heading off to Japan, like today. Like today was his last practice with the Rockies until he's gonna go start practicing for the World Baseball Classic in Japan. At some point, all the other players are gonna start probably going to their practice facilities and doing whatever they got to do. Because there's a lot of Rockies that are playing. Like we went over it last week, but there's a lot of Rockies that are playing on different rosters, which is cool. None on the USA team, but that's because they want to win. So, but yeah. Other than that, that's all I've got. Do you got anything else for the people?
Nope. Last pod until October, which is crazy to think about. We have 5.5 months of podcasts where we can actually talk about what's going on and not just what we think.
Yep. And it'll be there will be highs and lows, I guarantee it. Probably a lot of going off the rails stuff. Probably a lot of lows. Hopefully more highs than last year. That is to say 2 highs maybe that we had last year. So but other than that, thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll see you next week, and as always, go Rockies, and we'll catch you later. All right. Bye.